The rain poured relentlessly as I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white. The desolate road stretched out ahead of me, disappearing into the darkness. I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease that had settled deep within my bones. The night drive seemed like a terrible idea, but I had no choice. My best friend, Mark, had gone missing 2 days ago, and the police seemed to be making little progress in finding him. I had to take matters into my own hands. Mark and I had been friends since childhood. We shared countless adventures, but nothing could have prepared me for this. The authorities believed he had simply run away, but I knew him better. Mark was reliable, steadfast, and loyal to a fault. He wouldn't just disappear without a trace. I had a gut feeling that something sinister was at play. With determination fueling my every move, I accelerated down the road. The rain battered against the windshield, making it hard to see beyond a few meters. But I couldn't afford to stop. The narrow beam of the headlights was my only guide through the treacherous night. As the minutes turned into hours, the road seemed to wind on endlessly. Thoughts of what might have happened to Mark plagued my mind. Was he hurt? In danger? Or worse, was he already gone? My heart ached at the thought. I had to find him, no matter the cost. Suddenly, a faint glow caught my attention in the distance. Relief washed over me as I realized it was a small roadside diner, its neon sign flickering through the rain-soaked darkness. I pulled into the parking lot and stepped out of the car, the rain drenching me within seconds. Entering the diner, I was greeted by the warm, cozy atmosphere and the smell of coffee. The patrons glanced up from their tables, casting curious glances my way. I scanned the room, hoping to find someone who might have seen or heard something about Mark's disappearance. A middle-aged woman with tired eyes caught my attention. She sat alone at a corner booth, nursing a cup of coffee. I approached her cautiously, my voice trembling slightly as I spoke. "Excuse me, ma'am. I'm sorry to bother you, but have you seen my friend? His name is Mark. He went missing a couple of days ago." The woman looked at me intently, her gaze filled with a mix of sympathy and concern. She motioned for me to sit opposite her. "I'm sorry to hear about your friend, son. I can't say I've seen anyone matching his description around here, but you might want to talk to the old man who lives in the house at the end of this road. He's seen things, strange things." My curiosity piqued. I thanked her for the information and left the diner. The rain had subsided slightly, making the drive to the old man's house more bearable. The road was now enveloped in an eerie silence, broken only by the faint sound of my engine. After what felt like an eternity, I reached the house. It stood perched on a hill, shrouded in darkness. I knocked on the door, the sound echoing through the night. Moments later, the door creaked open, revealing an elderly man with a long white beard and piercing blue eyes. He regarded me with suspicion. "What brings you here, lad?" "I'm looking for my friend Mark. He went missing, and I was told you might have seen something," I explained, hoping to gain some insight. The old man's eyes flickered with recognition. "Ah, Mark, I've seen him, but you won't like what I have to say. Come in, sit down, and I'll tell you what I know." I stepped inside the house, the air heavy with a sense of foreboding. Little did I know that the secrets I was about to uncover would plunge me into a nightmare beyond my wildest imagination. The old man led me to a small room adorned with peculiar artifacts and weathered books. He gestured for me to take a seat, his eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and wisdom. With a trembling voice, he began to recount his tale. "Mark came to me a few nights ago," the old man started, his voice carrying a weight of sorrow. "He was disoriented, frightened. He spoke of a hidden truth, something sinister lurking beneath the surface of our seemingly ordinary town." I leaned forward, my heart pounding in anticipation. What did he discover? What was he trying to tell you? The old man took a deep breath, his gaze distant as if reliving a haunting memory. He stumbled upon a secret society, one that delves into dark rituals and forbidden knowledge. They operate under the cloak of night, using unsuspecting travelers for their malevolent purposes. Mark witnessed something he shouldn't have. and they took him. Dread settled in the pit of my stomach as the gravity of the situation sank in. How do we find them? How do we save him? The old man's eyes narrowed, determination replacing his initial weariness. We must infiltrate their ranks, expose their true nature. But be warned, young one. This path is treacherous, and not everyone who ventures into the shadows returns unscathed. I nodded, my resolve firm. I'll do whatever it takes. Mark is like a brother to me, and I won't rest until he's safe. With a solemn nod, the old man handed me a worn leather journal. This belonged to a previous victim who managed to escape. It holds clues, codes, and a map to their hidden lair. Use it wisely, and remember, trust no one. I clutched the journal tightly, its weight reassuring in my hands. Thank you for your guidance. I won't forget it. As I made my way back to the car, the night seemed to grow darker, as if the very air conspired against me. I knew that the road ahead would be perilous, but I was determined to face whatever awaited me. The rain intensified once again, pelting the windshield with renewed fury as I drove deeper into the heart of the unknown. Each passing mile brought me closer to the truth and closer to Mark. The journal lay beside me, its pages filled with enigmatic symbols and cryptic notes. Hours turned into an eternity as I followed the map's intricate directions, leading me to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. The ominous structure loomed before me, a foreboding silhouette against the night sky. As I cautiously stepped inside, the stale air filled my lungs, and the dim flickering lights revealed a macabre scene. Candles lined the walls, casting eerie shadows that danced in a rhythmic pattern. Hooded figures stood in a circle, chanting in a language I couldn't comprehend. I held my breath, my heart racing, as I searched for any sign of Mark. And then I saw him. Bound and helpless in the center of the circle, his eyes filled with desperation and hope as they locked with mine. Without a second thought, I sprang into action, moving silently through the shadows. The element of surprise was on my side as I incapacitated the nearest figure, snatching their hooded robe and masking my identity. With each calculated step, I inched closer to Mark, my heart pounding in my ears. But just as I reached him, a figure noticed my intrusion, their eyes widening in alarm. "Stop," a voice boomed, echoing through the warehouse. "You dare interrupt our ritual?" I locked eyes with Mark, determination burning in my gaze. "We're getting out of here together." A surge of adrenaline coursed through my veins as I untied him, his limbs trembling from the ordeal. We moved swiftly, navigating the labyrinthine corridors, evading the cult's members who pursued us relentlessly. Finally, we burst through the warehouse doors, emerging into the rain-soaked night. Gasping for breath, we sprinted toward my car, the engine roaring to life as we made our escape. As the warehouse disappeared into the distance, Mark and I exchanged a glance, a mixture of relief, gratitude, and an unspoken understanding of the horrors we had witnessed. Our friendship had been tested, and we emerged stronger than ever. Though the nightmare would forever haunt us, we vowed to expose the cult and ensure that no one else fell victim to their sinister practices. And so, as the rain subsided and the first rays of dawn pierced the horizon, we embarked on a new mission. Together, we would unravel the secrets of the night and bring justice to those who thrived in its shadows. The night drive had forever changed us, but it also forged a bond that would withstand any darkness that dared to cross our path. The wind howled through the open window as I accelerated down the dark, desolate road. The night swallowed everything in its inky embrace, leaving only the narrow beam of my headlights to guide me. The incessant rain drummed against the roof of the car, creating a symphony of eerie sounds. I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being watched, that something sinister lurked in the shadows. My name is Emily, and I'm a journalist. Investigating mysterious occurrences and uncovering hidden truths was my specialty. Tonight, I found myself on an assignment that promised to be my most challenging yet, Reports of strange disappearances and unexplained phenomena had plagued a small town on the outskirts of civilization, and I was determined to get to the bottom of it. The road stretched endlessly ahead, seemingly leading to nowhere. It was as if the town itself was intentionally concealed, tucked away from prying eyes. My grip on the steering wheel tightened as a shiver ran down my spine. There was a palpable sense of foreboding in the air. As I approached the town, a dense fog rolled in, swallowing the streets and casting an ethereal glow. The town appeared deserted, as if frozen in time. Buildings stood dilapidated, their windows shattered, and an eerie silence hung heavy in the air. It was as if the town had been abandoned, its secrets buried deep within its forsaken streets. I parked the car near the center of town, taking a moment to gather my thoughts. My investigation had to begin somewhere, and the locals might hold valuable information. But the deserted streets were devoid of life, adding to the enigma that surrounded this place. A flicker of light caught my attention. It emanated from a small, dimly lit cafe on the corner. I stepped inside, the creaking door announcing my arrival. The scent of stale coffee lingered, and a sense of melancholy hung in the air. A worn-out woman with tired eyes stood behind the counter, the lines of worry etched deep into her face. I approached her cautiously, my voice soft but determined. "Excuse me, ma'am. I'm a journalist investigating the strange occurrences in this town. Can you tell me anything about what's been happening?" She glanced up, startled by my presence, but a flicker of hope sparkled in her eyes. "You're not from around here, are you? They say the night brings more than just darkness to this place. People have been vanishing without a trace, leaving only unanswered questions behind." I leaned in, my curiosity piqued. "Have there been any witnesses? Anyone who might have seen or heard something?" She hesitated for a moment, her voice barely above a whisper. "There's an old man who lives on the outskirts of town. He claims to have witnessed something horrifying. They say he can predict the disappearances. They call him the Seer of Shadows." My heart raced at the mention of the Seer. If anyone held the key to unraveling the mystery, it was him. I thanked the woman for her information and ventured back into the night, the rain intensifying with every step. The rain fell in a relentless downpour as I made my way through the outskirts of the town, guided by the cryptic directions I had received. The path became treacherous, the muddy ground threatening to swallow my every step, but my determination pushed me forward, fueled by the thirst for the truth. After what felt like an eternity, I arrived at the edge of a dense forest. Towering trees loomed overhead, their branches twisted like gnarled fingers reaching for the heavens. The air grew thick with an otherworldly energy, sending a chill down my spine. As I ventured deeper into the woods, the darkness seemed to deepen, suffocating the feeble light that filtered through the dense foliage. My heart pounded in my chest, the anticipation mingling with the primal fear that gripped me. Finally, I reached a small, dilapidated cottage nestled amidst the towering trees. Its windows were boarded up, giving it an air of abandonment. Hesitant but resolute, I knocked on the door, the sound echoing through the eerie silence. Seconds turned into minutes, and just as I was about to give up hope, the door creaked open, revealing an old man with a long, unkempt beard and piercing blue eyes that seemed to hold the weight of ages. "You seek answers, young one." The old man spoke, his voice a low, rumbling whisper that carried a sense of ancient wisdom. "But be warned, the truths you seek may not be easily born." "I'm willing to face whatever it takes," I replied, my voice filled with a mixture of determination and apprehension. "I need to know what's happening in this town, why people are disappearing." The old man's eyes bore into mine, assessing my resolve. "Very well. Come in, and I shall share with you the knowledge that has been passed down through generations." Stepping into the cottage, I found myself surrounded by walls adorned with faded symbols and shelves filled with weathered tomes. The air was heavy with the scent of aged parchment and the lingering presence of forgotten secrets. The old man motioned for me to sit, and with a measured breath, he began his tale. He spoke of a dark presence that had plagued the town for centuries, of a malevolent force that fed on the fear and despair of its inhabitants. The disappearances were no mere coincidence, but sacrifices made to appease this insatiable entity. "But there is hope," the old man continued, his voice filled with a flicker of optimism. "Legends speak of an ancient artifact hidden deep within the heart of these woods. It is said to possess the power to banish the darkness and restore peace to the town." With newfound purpose, I thanked the old man for his guidance and embarked on a perilous journey through the labyrinthine forest. The rain poured down, washing away any remnants of doubt that lingered within me. Hours turned into an endless struggle against the elements, my body weary, but my determination unyielding. And finally, I stumbled upon a clearing bathed in an ethereal glow. In its center stood a weathered stone pedestal, upon which rested the fabled artifact. As I approached, the air crackled with energy, and a voice whispered in my mind, urging me to take hold of the artifact and unleash its power. With trembling hands, I grasped the artifact, feeling a surge of energy coursed through me. The darkness recoiled, as if threatened by the radiance of hope. The rain ceased, and a glimmer of dawn illuminated the horizon. I returned to the town, the artifact pulsating with an otherworldly light, and confronted the malevolent presence that had plagued it for so long. With every ounce of courage, I banished the darkness, setting the trapped souls free and restoring peace to the town. In the aftermath, the townspeople emerged from their homes, their eyes filled with gratitude and relief. They had been freed from the grip of fear, and the disappearances became a distant memory. As for me, I had fulfilled my purpose, uncovering the truth and restoring hope where it had been lost. The night drive had transformed me, leaving behind a profound sense of resilience and a renewed belief in the power of the human spirit.